Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon video. So today is going to be, I guess it's a bit of a news video considering there's just a lot that just recently happened in the Digimon trading card game in English. So going over some of the English stuff, we know that BT06 Double Diamond is going to be coming out in October, and it looks like on the website they changed it from an October 9th date to just a general October date. I don't know if they're going to push it back or not, but it is a tentative date that is going to be releasing sometime in October. So there might be a couple of delays there. They haven't really announced anything, so that's just some speculation, but I would assume that it's still going to be on October 9th when it comes out. But in regards to more information on BT06, we do know that we are going to be getting their box toppers. We know what all of the box toppers are. It is going to be of the babies. And then on top of that, we already knew that Japan got a first anniversary pack. So these are reprints that got voted on to get alternate arts that didn't initially have alternate arts before. So we have Upamon, Devimon, Millenniumon, Vmon, Angelmon, Terriermon, Megagargamon, Aldemon, Chaosmon, Volderarm, and Phoenixmon, all getting reprints. So that's good because a lot of these cards are relatively decent. So if you're playing Phoenixmon, this is the starter deck Phoenixmon, and it's nice to have accessibility of those types of cards outside of the starter deck. We have Angelmon from BT03, which is the Angelmon literally everyone is using because it's really, really good. We have Jamming Vmon from BT03 as well, just because that's another really highly played card in a lot of blue decks. Chaosmon Volderarm is just a staple level 7 in anything green or yellow. Aldemon is kind of an interesting pick. I kind of like it now that we know that BT07 is going to be about hybrids, so it does make Aldemon look a little bit more of a better pick than it was before because Aldemon just really wasn't doing a whole lot beforehand. And then we got Millenniumon, so Millenniumon finally gets an alt art. Nice to see a good level 7 as a box topper. So that way other people have alternate ways of getting it. Then we have Devimon from BT02. This is the one that has retaliation and gives retaliation, so that's just really good. And then we have Megagargamon. Megagargamon is just still a really decent card. And same with Terriermon, it's just another really generically good green card. And Upamon is probably one of the best blue Digitamas that we have on a general basis. So all of these cards are very good and they are very welcome to be getting reprinted. And then on top of that, we have more information on the fact that they have dash packs. Yes, there is going to be dash packs in BT06, and the dash packs are going to include one of 6 brand new cards introduced into the Digimon trading card game. So going over these new cards, we have Guilmon. So this promo version of Guilmon is a red level 3. Stats aren't really doing anything too interesting, but he does have a when attacking of being able to draw 1 card. So that's pretty good considering red doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of ways of drawing cards. So the fact that we have a level 3 that we just want to swing with to try to draw cards is looking to be pretty good. Paired that up with a Digitama that helps DP boost, and he might be able to have some varying degrees of success. But I definitely really like what this card is doing, and I think it's going to be a pretty decent card to be playing around with for red on a general basis. And then on top of that, we got a new Gabumon. So this new Gabumon has an on-play effect, and this on-play effect is basically copying the BT01 version of Agumon, where you get to reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, and then you get to add 1 tamer, regardless of color, among them into your hand, and then the rest go onto the bottom. So that's just pretty good considering blue needs to be searching out its tamers, because blue interacts with a lot of tamers, almost as much as red does. And it's nice to see that we have a Gabumon that's acting like the Agumon, allowing us to help dig out our tamers that much more efficiently. Next, we have a new Kudamon in yellow. So Kudamon is looking to be a pretty decent Digimon. Yes, it is a little bit unfortunate he only has 1000 DP, but he does have 2 effects, an inheritable and a native. So his native ability is an on-play ability where we get to return 1 Kentarosmon from our trash to the bottom of our deck to recover 1. So that's just really good because Kentarosmon isn't necessarily the worst Digimon in the world to be using, and it's a way to put him to the bottom of our deck to just generically recover 1. So yes, you could use this with a couple of different setups where you could try to trash him if you're going for a yellow-purple build, or you could try to do some very interesting things to set this card up. So this is really good with Lord Nightmon because you could be playing Kentarosmon because Kentarosmon is a Royal Knight that could interact with the Lord Knightmon package, on top of which in BT06 we also know that Dynasmon also has a little bit of self-mill, so you could select Kentarosmon to be self-milled if it's checked in the top 7 off of Dynasmon. So there's ways to actually utilize this on-play ability, and it's another level 3 that helps recover, which is already looking to be pretty good, because all of the other level 3s that help recover are already really good. And then on top of that, he also has a nice inheritable ability where it's an on-delete ability where one of the opponent's Digimon gains minus 1000 DP till the end of the turn. So this is basically supposed to be paired up with Kentarosmon, obviously because he has interaction with Kentarosmon with his on-play ability, but this allows your Kentarosmon to basically, when he gets deleted, delete up to 12k, which is actually pretty relevant considering one of the big problems with Kentarosmon before was that his DP reduction was a little bit too weak in order to delete the opponent's level 6 off of your level 6 getting deleted. So now that we have Kudamon to help out with the DP reduction on his on-delete ability, definitely makes him a little bit more viable. Next, we have a new version of Wizardmon. So this Wizardmon is going to be in purple. Stats aren't really doing anything too interesting for a level 4, but he does have a pretty decent inheritable ability of during your turn, once per turn, when you use an option card, you get to gain 1 memory. So that's pretty good considering there's a lot of different ways that purple wants to be using and interacting with its option cards. So this is just a good card to help with those types of interactions by rewarding you by gaining a memory. So the immediate thing that I can think of is you're going to want to play this with, let's just say, Lilithmon, just because Lilithmon, when you use your first option for the turn, you're already going to be gaining 2 memory. So pair this up with Wizardmon and you could gain 3 memory. Or you could use this on a couple of other different cards like Plutomon and Metal Garurumon from the Dash Pack. So those are 2 other cards that like to interact and play around with options. And it's nice to see that Purple is getting some really decent inheritables on their level 4s, just because their level 4 slot, they really weren't having that great of inheritables before. So it's nice to see it getting some support. Next, we have Kurisarimon. So this is another version of Kurisarimon. This is going to be supporting the Diaboromon decks, and this is actually looking to be a pretty decent support card because it has the nice inheritable ability where during all turns, Digimon with the same name as this Digimon gain the Decoy Black and White ability. So for those who don't know what the Decoy ability is, it's a new ability that's coming out in BT06, where the idea of it is you're basically going to be deleting this Digimon to prevent the deletion of another Digimon by card effects. So this is looking to be pretty good because it adds some extra protection to your Diaboromons, making them a little bit stickier and harder to manage against a lot of the opponent's control options. So I think this is going to be a pretty decent card to be playing around with, and it's looking to be a really big buff for what Diaboromon is trying to do, just because Diaboromon is trying to spam a whole lot of tokens on the field and use those tokens in various ways. So this is a new way of utilizing those tokens to just have as many on the field as you could spawn to just make sure that your Digimon are going to be that much harder to be deleted. Because we do know in BT06 there's going to be a lot of control running around, so this is actually looking to be a good counter card for a lot of those control type decks. And then the last new card that we got is going to be a new version of Hercules Kabuterimon. So this new Hercules Kabuterimon is a little bit on the bland side. He has a when Digivolving ability where you get to suspend one of the opponent's Digimon down or 2 of the opponent's Digimon down with 5000 DP or less. So we've seen this ability before on an option card, and it's an okay ability. It's nothing too exciting, but it's not like it's a horrible ability either, just because we do know that green wants to be suspending the opponent's Digimon down, and this is a pretty tempo-efficient green card to Digivolve up into, and you could use this card to then swing into the opponent's Digimon. So it's not like this card is awful, it's just not as exciting as some of the other stuff, but the fact that we do have a new level 6 to be playing around with in green is always welcome. I do like the fact that we are getting these new Dash Pack cards to really shake up and try to change a little bit of our BT06 meta versus Japan's, because I actually do think that a lot of these cards are going to be relatively playable in some capacity. So Gabumon is obviously going to be looking really good in Gabumon Bond of Friendship decks because you have an alternate way to try to dig out your tamers without dipping too hard into the hybrid package. So you have that available to you as well. On top of which you have Guilmon, which just helps you generically draw cards in a red Rookie Rush style of deck, and we do know that red Agumon Bond of Courage is a kind of Rookie Rush style of deck. It's more of an Agu Rush style of deck, or as I like to call it, Oops All Agumons, but regardless, this is just making red Rookie Rush that much more viable. On top of which we have Kudamon, which helps with, like I said, the whole Royal Knights thing if you want to go for that. I think Kudamon isn't going to be like that great of a card, just because Kentarosmon isn't going to be that great of a card in the context of the current meta or the meta to come. So I don't think Kudamon's going to see that much play, but he's definitely interesting to be thinking about playing nonetheless. Then Wizardmon is obviously going to be a really good card in Lilith Loop decks and various other decks that want to use option cards, so I do think Wizardmon is going to be pretty good there. Kurosarymon is obviously looking to be really, really good for Diabormon because it does have lots of synergy with Diabormon, and again, it's a hard counter to control decks, just because control decks are trying to delete your Digimon through card effects, mostly through the security, or through free casting your cards, and because Diabormon has very easy ways of spawning tokens, it lets you use your tokens in a meaningful way to keep your main Diabormons around. So you could pair this up with, let's just say, the BTO2 Diabormon, and BTO2 Diabormon could delete a Diabormon token to prevent him from being deleted by battle, paired up with the fact that you have this Kurosarymon to use that same token that you just spawned on attack to prevent him from being deleted by options as well. So this is just looking to be a very good card for Diabormon, and I think this is going to change what Diabormon can do in the context of the meta to come. And then I do think, similar to Kudamon, Hercules Kabuterimon isn't necessarily that bad of a card. I just don't think with what the meta is going to be doing, this is going to see that much play, but it is nice to see that they are just playing around with a couple of different more tech and tools, so who knows that this could actually see some play. I just don't think in the grand scheme of things this is going to be that great of a card. So I think like the majority of these cards are going to be really, really fun and exciting to play, and I'm excited to see what these are actually going to do to shape and change what our meta is going to be like versus Japan's. But trying to go back on topic for a little bit in terms of like other newsworthy things to keep in mind of, we actually do have a rules update to the errata list. So the errata cards are going to be the ones with the decoy ability. So we currently have Machmon, Mamemon, and the new Kurosarymon promo that are all getting errated because they improperly writ in the English version what the decoy ability is doing. So what the decoy ability is doing, as they wrote it, is when one of your other black Digimon would be deleted, you may delete this Digimon to prevent it. So that's like the oversimplified version of what this ability is supposed to be doing. So now they changed it to the correct version where when one of your other black Digimon would be deleted by an opponent's card effect, not just deleted in general, so that's a big difference on how the card is played, you may delete this Digimon to prevent that deletion. So it's still doing the whole replacement effect, it's just specifying that it's supposed to be through card effects now, where it's just if it would be deleted in general. That's a huge change because that would make decoy a way better mechanic than it was, because it actually would allow you to keep your Digimon around almost no matter what. So while it is unfortunate that they are getting printed incorrectly, they at least did catch the error, and as such is why it's on the errata list. But speaking of errors, I do think that Agumon Bond of Bravery is another error that they probably aren't going to be fixing due to translation issues. I don't actually know if it's a translation issue or a mistranslation. Regardless, I don't think this card should be called Agumon Bond of Bravery, and it should be Agumon Bond of Courage. Tai's crest is the crest of courage, it's not the crest of bravery, so having him be the Bond of Bravery just really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, even though, yes, bravery is a synonym for courage. It just still doesn't necessarily make sense. I do understand that this did get mistranslated before in some various other things, so I think in Digimon Arise it was mistranslated as Bond of Bravery there, so it does have this history of having the Bond of Bravery name, but I don't necessarily think and agree with that, and I still think that it should be Bond of Courage. But we were warned that it was going to end up being printed as Agumon Bond of Bravery on the Digimon website. So on the Japanese version of the Digimon website, they do provide translations for a lot of their cards when they come out. So Agumon Bond of Bravery was what it was translated to on this website here, and this website has been known to be correct about card translations before, because that's where I saw Vitramon was going to end up being printed as Burning Greymon as an example. So we were warned about it would be Bond of Bravery. Again, I just don't like it and I don't agree with it. But mistranslations aside, as far as like actual news, we do have some information in regards to Double Diamond's pre-release. So we do know what the Double Diamond pre-release is going to entail, and it's going to be the same as it kind of has always been in the past, where it's going to have a pack where it's going to contain 2 cards, 1 rare and 1 uncommon. They're going to be stamped with pre-release, and on top of which we do have the participation prize being a reprint of the Andromon from BT02, where he just has the blocker ability, and the winner card is going to be the alternate art Pulsemon. So this is the promo Pulsemon that was in the BT04 Great Legend pre-release, and he's making his appearance again as a prize card this time with the alternate art. So this is just where they're going to be sticking the alternate art version, and I think that this is going to be a relatively expensive card, given Pulsemon's shaky history on the market being a really expensive card to be playing with. But outside of that, all of the information here is basically the same as it's always been for all of the other pre-releases, so nothing too special is going on with anything else, outside of the fact that they do still on the schedule have it as a October tentative release window, so it is not a hard set date, so we'll just have to wait and see when they actually do hard set the date and what that date is going to be. But as far as what the promo Pulsemon is currently doing on the secondary market, this is just where he's currently at. And like I said, he's still just a relatively expensive card. We do know that he did go down in price a little bit, but that's just because we did have news that there was going to be more copies of Pulsemon entering the secondary market. So these were just sales trying to sell the card off while it was still a little bit on the high side before the new wave of cards come and lower his overall price, because, well, even though the winner card it doesn't necessarily affect this card that much, it will just because it is a Pulsemon promo. There is just other ways to get the Pulsemon that are coming out that we do know about that will end up affecting this card's price. So on top of the new pre-release prize card being the alt art foil version of Pulsemon, we do have the September Evo Cups going to be coming up. So the September Evo Cups, you could read over the information. It's just another way to get more stock of cards that were previously hard to get into the secondary market and into players' hands. So we see that players will be getting 2 of the promo pre-release art Pulsemons on top of more Tournament Pack Volume 1s. So the Tournament Pack Volume 1 is the promo pack that had the Diabormon stuff, so it's already looking to be pretty good considering those cards were really expensive, because now Diabormon is actually a pretty decent deck. But as we saw, you could sign up for your specific region for playing in the Evo Cups, and we could see that here is the list of all of their prizes. So upon participation, you will get a Tournament Pack Volume 1, and you'll also get 2 of those Pulsemons. So you only need to enter in 2 of these events in order to get a full playset of Pulsemons, so people who already have their Pulsemons are going to be using this as a good opportunity to get more in case they want to build other decks or sell them off to try to recoup what they spent on the event. So a lot of those cards will end up hitting the secondary market, thus decreasing the price of the card overall. But it's nice to see that more event packs are hitting the secondary market because a lot of those cards are really expensive. It's nice to see more Tournament Pack Volume 1 hitting the secondary market because people who already have these cards are going to be, again, offloading and trying to sell them to recoup what they spent on the event, on top of just more Pulsemons coming. So it's just nice to see that they are kind of taking some feedback on knowing that they do need to reprint certain cards and certain products, and it looks like that they're using these events that they're hosting in order to put those cards into the hands of the players. But speaking about Tournament Pack Volume 1, it looks like on the LGS level, they are going to be basically redistributing the Tournament Pack Volume 1. So if you're a new store looking to get into Digimon or a Digimon store already running Digimon, then you should contact your LGS to see if they have a way to get these event pack volume 1s, because again, they still do have some pretty decent cards in them, and it is another way to allow stores and players to get the product more readily available. So there's no hard release date. It just says that mid-October is when stores are going to be running these. But the stores will be getting more Tournament Pack Volume 1s, which do have the Diabormon line, but you could also consider using some of the Devimon and Myotismon stuff, considering we know that in Classic Collection coming out later at the end of the year, then these two decks do get some support. So Dan Devi does get support with some more Devimon stuff, then Myotismon gets some support there as well, so these cards actually could end up being played in some capacity in those types of decks. So it's just another really good thing for them to do to try to get these cards in the hands of the players, because Tournament Pack Volume 1 was a relatively hard tournament pack to come by because the game was still relatively new and there wasn't just a whole lot of this running around, on top of you had COVID issues to cap all of the problems off. So it's nice to see that they are trying to incentivize people to go into your LGS to participate in their events to just try to get these cards out. And then, speaking of events, they did also announce that they are going to be doing a Tournament Party Volume 3 for in-store events. So this is just meant to be more of a casual thing, and the stakes are relatively low, considering the Alta Art cards are just some relatively okay alt art cards, nothing too exciting or special. So you do have the BT01 Greymon, you do have BT01 Tsukaimon, and you have BT02 Karamon, all as the cards that you could possibly get off of the Tamer Party event. And then the last bit of news is going to be the fact that starting with BT06 and the new starter decks, they are going to be including block icons. So the block icon, for those who don't know, is basically just this little one underneath the card's number, ID, and rarity. So what this block icon is doing is it's just for organization's sake. They stated, though, that they could be using it in some various different ways in the future. Bandai hasn't had a reputation of utilizing any of them in any of their other games, so they did this for Dragon Ball Super. Everyone thought rotation was coming to Super. Super currently has no rotation. People thought that this was going to add rotation to Battle Spirits. Again, same type of deal. They just used it for an organizational tool and as a failsafe in case anything does go awry where they do actually need to use it. So this is currently not a representation of the fact that rotation is going to be coming, and I do not think, based on the current design of the Digimon TCG, it could really support a rotation because of how sets and cards are laid out. So what I mean by that is that you do have cards in various other sets that are basically referencing other cards from other sets. So as an example right now, we do have Lucimon from BT04, that is referencing Lucimon from BT07, and cards from BT07 are referencing that Lucimon. So if you did have rotation, then without that Lucimon, you're losing a huge portion on how you could possibly use and play some of those cards. Then we do have a couple of other minor examples of this. So like in BT06, we do get a little bit of hybrid support, but all of the hybrid support that we currently have is in BT04. So without those BT04 cards, the hybrid support in BT06 is basically rendered useless. So there is examples of this sprinkled throughout the Digimon TCG where it doesn't necessarily support the idea of a rotation happening, and this is just a failsafe and organizational tool that they are going to be implementing starting October 1st. So that's all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and down in the description below are a couple of different ways you could support me and the channel. So I do have a TCG Player affiliate link, so when you use that link to buy cards off of TCG Player, then some of that money will go to supporting me and the channel. I also do make and sell playmats over on Overcard Gamers on Facebook, so when you buy a playmat with my design, then some of that money will also go to help supporting me and the channel. And on top of all of that, I do have a Twitch account over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, so giving me a follow and a subscription also helps support me there, and I do play Digimon on top of various other games on that platform as well. So thank you everyone for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.